Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us for Payroll for Construction webinar, Establishing Good Office Processes with Payroll for Construction. My name is Alex Gray, going to be the Regional Sales Manager here at Payroll for Construction. Hosting today's webinar, we still have a few people that are joining us here, and so we're going to give them a few moments to get logged in. Then I'll be back with you guys here in a few moments, and we'll go ahead and get things started here today. So thanks again for taking the time to join us here this afternoon, and we'll kick things off here shortly. Hello again, everyone, and those that are still joining us here. We're going to get things started here in a few moments. Still have some filing in here at the top of the hour, so going to give them a few moments to get logged in. We'll kick things off here shortly. All right, looks like we had a few others join us, so we'll go ahead and get things started here. So again, those of you that have just joined us, thank you for taking the time today to join today's webinar discussing establishing good office processes with Payroll for Construction. My name is Alex Gray, one of the regional sales managers here at Payroll for Construction. Today's webinar, for those in the audience, is a listen-only webinar here, but in the GoToWebinar here, you are able to throw in some questions in the chat. So as I go along here, anything comes up, feel free to throw those in the chat. We'll have some time here at the end of today's discussion to answer those questions for you. But again, today is a listen-only webinar for you, and we'll go ahead and get things started. So again, like I mentioned, my name here, Alex Gray with Payroll for Construction. I'll pull up my information for those that are interested in receiving some more information, maybe connecting after today's webinar. If you don't get it down now, I'll pull it up again towards the end of the presentation here today. But to get things started here, establishing good office processes. So with the payroll process, especially construction payroll, it can be a messy process. That can be very time consuming for the office staff, administration staff, those that are handling payroll for the team here on a weekly, maybe bi-weekly basis. So with those that come to us, we see some common payroll pain points kind of prevalent with the majority of those that are coming to us interested in learning more about payroll for construction. They can range from things like hours collection, where they have a manual process in the field, still using paper time cards, or maybe guys are texting hours into a project management or a foreman or someone in the office, or Rick's handing in that mustard stained time card there on a daily, weekly basis, where it's a very lengthy process to get those hours reported. And then someone's got to take those hours, key them into the system that we're using to run payroll, or however we're handling that process in the office. A manual portion of that hours collection, which can be a tedious, timely process here. We also see those that come to us that are working in multi-states, or those that are working in states like Ohio, Kentucky, that have multiple localities with those type of works, where one employee can work in one job in that week, and he gets sent to 2 other job sites, and he has 3 taxing jurisdictions that he's falling under in that specific pay period for that week. If you don't have a system that can help automate, track this process for you, could be a very time-consuming task for those that are handling payroll in the office. And also, too, with construction payroll comes the required construction-specific reporting. So things like certified payroll reports, some state agency-specific formats, whether you're filling those out manually on paper and pen for certified reports, or also electronic upload portals. We're seeing a large number of states, agencies move to the online electronic format where they have to take this payroll information and key it into that online electronic portal, where that can be a very lengthy, time-consuming process, especially depending on the number of employees that your team has there working. When you have a system that can help automate this, can help with those pain points, free up the time that this office staff is taking when it comes to that actual payroll process or the payroll reports. And also kind of going hand in hand with the multi-state locality tracking is going to be managing ever-changing taxing rules and regulations. What's going on with the specific jurisdictions we're working in, regulations, whereas if you're handling payroll in-house or have those that are handling the payroll in the office, it can be very time-consuming to stay up to date with those changing rules and regulations. So we'll discuss how Payroll4Construction as a payroll provider can help manage these changing taxing rules and regulations as the provider, where our service here, we're only working with payroll, especially in the construction industry. We're going to stay up to date with changing taxing rules, as well as the reports inside our system. If reports formats changes with those regulations, so we're going to stay up to date with them. So help take that kind of task away from the office staff to, again, help streamline the entire process when it comes to payroll in the office. And last one here, again, just kind of fell swoop for everything, just the overall manual payroll process, from the hours collection to the, hey, maybe we're working prevailing wage, or we have union work where we have specific pay rates that we have to tie out to these employees, where we have someone in the office, Susan, Rick, Bob, they're going through and making sure that each individual employee is being paid out the corresponding correct rate of pay per that specific job. It can be a very daunting process and can also have information that's missed, information that's incorrect. So with today's presentation, we'll show you how Payroll4Construction can help with alleviate these pain points when it comes to our office staff for the payroll process, help bring in the automation, and to help streamline so we can take a large portion of that payroll off of the plate of those that are working payroll in the office here to help overall streamline the payroll process. So with that, meet Payroll4Construction. So who are we, what we do? We are a standalone payroll service for contractors only working in the construction industry. We're an online payroll service provider processing payroll in all 50 states. So no matter if you're working in one state, working in multiple states, we'll be able to handle those tax filings and payments to whatever states we're performing work and reporting to. What makes us different is we specialize in union, government, prevailing wage payrolls, where when I jump into the database for you, you're going to see how we'll have specific pay rate tables, specific deduction, fringe benefit tables to track what's going on with union, government, prevailing wage jobs. Our system can then take those pay rates, take all that benefit, fringe information, and help automate the tracking so we don't have someone in the office distributing corresponding rates of pay to employees, as well as tracking maybe union benefit information, or those that are working prevailing wage jobs, that prevailing wage cash fringe. So and have that system set up to help automate that process so we're not doing this by hand in the office here. And at our core, we're going to be that full service payroll provider, so pay the employees via check, direct deposit, handle all tax filings and payments, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual tax filings and payments for any federal, state, local authorities, FUTA and SUTA, as well as the system's going to automate reports like certified payroll, union, EEO, minority compliance, job costing, workers' compensation, a number of free construction-specific reports that will be available inside that system for you to utilize, access at any point in time as a Payroll4Construction client. What else makes us different here too? We are powered by Foundation Software with over 35 years of experience in construction. So those of you in the audience may have heard of Foundation. They are our main parent company here, full job cost ERP accounting software. But if you have not, Foundation is a full job cost ERP construction accounting software that Payroll4Construction is built on the Foundation accounting system, the platform, where we're only utilizing that payroll, job costing, and general ledger, only processing payroll, but you get the power of the construction-specific ERP accounting software powering our payroll service behind the scenes. And still moving on with what we do. So that construction-specific reporting. So those that are working in multiple states, multiple localities, so we're going to be able to handle the tracking inside the system, have it automate where that job's taking place, where on the job record, the job's going to be a job. We can control it as a prevailing wage job, a union job, or more importantly, where this job is taking place. Then have that system automate to track all the taxing information, where we're going to then make those reports over to those specific providers for those tax filings and payments. And like I'd also mentioned too, we're going to be able to automate the pay rates when it comes to prevailing wage work, where on the employee record, I can set it up that Rick's getting a set $15 an hour, but when he's working on that prevailing wage government job, going to have to be paid maybe $20, $25 an hour per that job's contract. Whereas with separate tables we can set up and have it then tied to the job record that it's going to then divvy out the correct corresponding rate of pay for our employees, no manually tying out that actual pay rate. And also with that prevailing wage or also union work here comes benefit fringe calculations. Have a separate table that we can set up that fringe information, automate the tracking, as well as if those that are working on prevailing wage jobs, you're maybe already offering your employees some benefits, 401k, health insurance, where we are able to set up what we call prevailing wage fringe reduction factor, a fringe credit. Whereas, so instead of, hey, this job's contract is requiring me to pay my employees $12 an hour in benefits, but maybe we're already offering them $7 an hour in benefits per my example here. We can have that fringe set up to be broken out, reduced down by the $5 difference. So you're not then double stacking and overpaying when it comes to the fringe information, since we are already providing benefits to our employees here. Then the last item here, workers' compensation. So with Payroll for Construction, we don't handle the paying of workers' compensation, but we know how big of a part of payroll it is here. So we're going to have that workers' compensation policy set up inside the system. We can have it tracked by the type of work being performed, the class breakouts, and even set up caps to what's ultimately being exposed to our workers' compensation policy, all automatically tracked as we're coding hours time into our payroll system. Still staying with that construction specific reporting. So again, our system's going to automate the creation of those certified payroll reports. There's a spot for it on a certified report. There's a spot for it to be tracked inside the system. No manual entry of information on the certified reports. The system's going to have those formats available for us to run for any date range we may need. And those are any union contractors here on the call. Be able to set up that union information, that union contract, and have a nice report that's generated for us to see our trade or class breakout in those unions, and then give us our overall net bottom line of where we stand with the union in that specific month. Also, minority compliance, EEO, job labor, burden and cost reports. So these construction specific reports will be available to you inside the system to run at any point in time, included as a Payroll for Construction client. Then other items, workers' compensation that I just mentioned, 401k, or also any employee garnishments, child support, alimony, tax garnishments. We do also offer an optional service where if you wanted to have that garnishment handled by our team, we'll automatically have that amount withheld. Then you could have our team send off that garnishment information where it needs to go after it's withheld from that payroll run. Then at our core, we're still going to be that traditional payroll service provider. So we're going to handle the paying the employees via check or direct deposit. We'll handle all the tax filings and payments when it comes to payroll, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual returns here. Also, we'll handle those year-end filing and distribution of W-2s, and have also some other year-end services, 1095s, other things that we do offer here at Payroll for Construction as a potential service option. What else makes us different from other providers out there? So we're going to have a direct integration with QuickBooks, as well as we're built on that foundation system. So a direct integration with the foundation software accounting package, if any of those on the call today are foundation clients, and also Sage and other accounting programs out there where you don't have to be a foundation user to use Payroll for Construction. This can stand alone, integrate with QuickBooks, Sage, other accounting packages out there where once payroll is processed in our system, you can have that information then passed back into your current accounting package, as it's a very crucial part to have all of our information in one spot so we can see our overall bottom line. Then here, our only focus is construction. We're going to have a staff of professionals that are experienced with construction payroll. Our in-house support staff is trained only on our system. Walk down the hall here at our office and go meet with our support staff here, available to you, included free of charge as a Payroll4Construction client. Then we also had focused here earlier about one of the payroll pain points, the hours collection process, whether we're doing this manually via paper time cards, or maybe we're having employees text hours into that foreman or that project manager, someone in the office, where we offer a mobile application here for field time card entry at Payroll4Construction, directly integrates with that Payroll4Construction software package here, but we also offer the ability to import time cards into the system. So whether you are using another mobile application out there for your team, or you're collecting hours via paper here currently, but we're looking to help streamline the process. I'm tired of manually entering those into a system where we have the ability to import hours in via an Excel sheet, where you can collect those hours, import them into the system, so we're not going in, keying in all those hours to help streamline the overall hours collection process. Then at our core, we're gonna have that web-based access anytime from anywhere with an internet connection. Go ahead, log in online, access your Payroll4Construction system from laptop, computer, wherever your workstation is located. And the last thing we do offer here, online stub portal for employees to receive their pay stubs electronically after payroll's processed. Data flows over seamlessly. Employees would be able to log in and access those pay stubs at whatever frequency they may need. I'll jump over to the question portions here toward the end of the presentation, but I'm going to go ahead here now and jump into the, the actual payroll system here. So with Payroll4Construction here, again, those that may be on the call today are foundation clients, and you will see a very familiar screen with foundation top right corner. But again, Payroll4Construction can integrate with that foundation accounting package or sit alone here, where we're accessing the payroll, job costing, and the general ledger. And with Payroll4Construction, we'll start you with a blank database copy that we'll build from the ground up to only house the information that your team may need when it comes to those payroll runs. So you'll get connected with an implementation specialist. They're going to go ahead and build this database for the ground up. Now, I'm not going to jump into every single portion of the software here today, as we like to limit these to 30 minutes to not take up too much of your time. Those that may want a more in-depth overview of the system, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to walk you through how things are handled for your specific team's needs inside of our system here. But during that implementation process, they're going to jump into payroll maintenance. Again, we're going to set up your workers' compensation policy inside the system here. I have that broken out by the type of work being performed, the type of classes, and also employees. So I'm not going to jump into the employees today. There's nothing underwhelming, overwhelming, nothing too much that's different from other providers out there. But the main thing to keep in mind is on the employee record here, when Rick, for example, here is working a private commercial job for us, he's, let's say, making a set $15 an hour. But those here that are union prevailing wage contractors, where we have that union prevailing wage work, well, you'll see here in payroll maintenance, we already have construction specific language that helps us handle this type of work for our team to help automate the overall payroll process, where I mentioned those separate pay rate tables. On Rick's employee record, we can set up that private commercial rate, but whether you're a union contractor or working prevailing wage job, well, prevailing wage job, going to have specific rates of pay for that type of work being performed, that we can have this override the employee's pay rate scale, where, hey, Rick was maybe working on job 12, private commercial job, he's getting $15 an hour in that week, but Rick also got sent to job 931. That's a prevailing wage job, where we can take these pay rate tables as well as the fringe information I'll jump into here in a moment and tie that to that specific job record, where in our system then a job is a job. It's going to control the taxing jurisdiction that needs to be applied, and also if we're a union prevailing wage contractor, what also rates of pay, benefits, fringe information that needs to be tracked here. Then also too, with these tables, you'll notice that they can be timestamped with effective dates. So maybe those that are working longer prevailing wage jobs that are subject to pay rate increases, or also a big part for union contractors where, hey, on the first of the year, we get our new union contract. Here's our list of trades, list of pay rates that we need to break out for that said union. But maybe 6 months later, or let's say July 1st for our example here, everything's going to be going up by $1. You'll have the ability to come in. You can have us manage these tables. You'll have access to these tables inside the system where you get that new updated contract, updated rates of pay, timestamp with the upcoming effective date. So hey, if July 1st falls on a Tuesday or is in the middle of a payroll run here, that's not a problem. The system will be able to use that effective date to then switch over to the updated rates of pay when that effective date hits. Timestamp this on the employee stub for them to review. And also, no one in the office then is having to go through and tie in all these new rates of pay to each individual employee. The system's going to catch all once this table is updated here. Then also with that pay rate, the prevailing wage union work comes those benefits, deductions, fringes that we need to track here. Whereas no matter if all trades are being calculated at the same here, or we need to break this down in a trade by trade basis. For the union contracts, it's pretty broken out, pretty straightforward for what we need to set up and track. So with that trainer, with our team, we'll go ahead and get it set up per that union contract, whether deduction or fringe. Then all the benefits information that we need to track, have it named with the custom coding conventions that your team needs to familiarize yourself with those specific benefits. Then also with these benefits, how they need to be calculated here. Is it hours worked, paid, is it percentage or fixed amount? Whereas, hey, specific benefits, some of them may be subject to that 0.5 calculation for overtime, or you know what, maybe the specific one isn't subject to it, where it's based on hours worked. We're not exposing it to that 0.5 overtime calculation, where our team will be able to read that union contract, work with you, and have this set up correctly. As there is not a union, Payroll4Construction is not able to set up and work with here inside of our system. We'll have all this set up and calculated how it needs to be tracked, also control how it's taxed, and you can set up limits, but also too, with those that have the union, jump back in here, we have that union contract there with those benefits, but also my prevailing wage contractors here as well. That prevailing wage cash fringe, again, it won't matter if everyone's being calculated the same, we have it broken out on a trade by trade basis. We're able to then set up that prevailing wage fringe information. And if you're just paying these as a cash fringe into the employee's paycheck, we can do so. Or also if anyone out there is having those fringes sent off to some sort of fringe benefit group here, we have direct integration with the contractors plan, can also create files for any sort of fringe benefit group that you're maybe sending that fringe information over to. Also, we'll have that effective date that we can timestamp these tables, have this all tracked, broken out for how this needs to be calculated for the type of work. Close out here, but then once payroll maintenance is completed here, what does it look like on a day-to-day basis as a Payroll4Construction client? Well, pretty simple. Comes down to then whatever jobs that we need set up those jobs inside the system. Pretty straightforward with us, job name, number, description. Then also, hey, if this is a prevailing wage or a union job, you'll tie in that table that we had set up there to that specific job. Then once the jobs are set up, we're ready to start bringing time into the system. So again, no matter if you're manually entering time or we're looking at streamlining the payroll process here, so we can import or sync those hours over from some sort of our mobile application, import them in from another mobile provider out there, but bring those hours into the system. Then we'll have a number of proofing reports, pre-check registers to review where the hours and calculations stand before payroll's ever been touched for payroll processing. So my hours have been entered. All right, I'm ready to review here. We have a time card list proofing report that will show Craig, Arthur, Rick, Greg, all broken out with their hours that have been entered for this week, giving me my employee subtotals. One thing you will notice here, that when I open this report, I was met with a criteria tab that allows me to format how I want this report to be ran. So, hey, maybe you don't review hours broken out on a job by job, employee by employee basis. If you want to see them broken out by job, all right, not a problem. Switch that criteria, rerun the report. I now have that same information, but being broken out by job, giving me my job hours subtotals inside the system. Then, once payroll looks good to go, you go ahead and click submit payroll to us. Sends a copy of the database to us for payroll processing. Within the hour, we have payroll process, give you a full report breakdown of what was handled by our team in that week. Then the final portion, running those payroll reports. So a number of reports available inside the system. If you use them, you use them. If you don't, you don't. They're all included as Payroll4Construction clients. First one here, workers' compensation. Hey, maybe you just need a high-level overview of the class breakout here. All right, go ahead, run the report. Have my operators, electricians, laborers, office staff, hours worked, gross earnings, based on those caps, what was ultimately exposed to the workers' compensation policy. All right, that's good enough, but maybe we're going through an audit. We're gonna need a little bit more detail here when it comes to workers' comp. Well, back to that criteria tab, I switch my report format, go back into the report, now have all my classes being broken out with all those employees. And you can even see here, Arthur had 2 hours of overtime, $63 was his gross earnings, but only $42 was exposed based on caps that we had set up. Give us our overall nice subtotals here at the bottom of where we stand. Then also with the reports inside Payroll for Construction, PDF, Word, Excel, CSV, click a button, save it to your desktop or wherever on your computer, you can pull these reports outside the system at any point in time. Then also EEO minority compliance reports, going to have electronic and print formats. I won't jump into every single one here today, but have a large number of formats available for you. We'll jump into the U.S. Department of Labor format inside the system here. So come in, put in the date range you need this to be ran for here, run the report, then pulls in, generates that minority compliance report for us. Again, no manual entry of information on these reports here. All right, then I'll close out here. And then another big one for those in the audience here, certified payroll, electronic and print format. So, hey, you have electronic agency you're uploading to. We're gonna be able to create that file upload for you. So big ones out there, the California DIR, LCP tracker, the state of Maryland has their own agency here. A large number of electronic formats available inside the system, whereas, hey, you're doing this manually, you gotta log into LCP tracker and key in all this information when it comes to those certifieds. Not with our system. You're gonna access the report format. You're gonna go ahead, you're gonna put in your date range here. You're gonna then go ahead and run the report. And it looks like a jumbled mess of information, but that's because we're creating the file upload for you, where you're gonna click close. File's not been created, create file now. You click yes, saves to your desktop, you log in, upload it to that online agency. And also certified payroll print formats here. Same thing, put in the date range, select the agency format that you're gonna need for that print version. All are available at any point in time as Payroll for Construction clients. If the report format changes, we're gonna stay up to date with it for you as a Payroll for Construction client here, but I'll jump in that generic US Department WH347 here, run that certified report, pull in all the information, and also even generate those signature pages for us. PDF it, pull it outside the system, send it off where it needs to go. Then another big one for my union contractors here today, those union information, where we stand here, run the report. You're working with one union, multiple unions, going to be able to track however many unions we're working with here, have all of my employee information and trade broken out, where the next page is giving me that overall where we stand with that union, overall bottom line, cut the check, pull this outside the system, send it off, your union is then paid. Again, to show you multiple unions can be broken out and tracked inside the system here. But the last big one I'll jump into here today are burden employee summary reports. So hey, with payroll, maybe we say we're paying Rick $15 an hour, but hey, once we bring in all the FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, fringes, Rick's gonna be costing us $18 an hour, $25 an hour, where to get that more detailed job costing, we're gonna have this burden employee summary report where it pulls in the hours and the earnings, but all of the burden calculations to give us our true average hourly rate of what our employees are costing us when it comes to our payroll runs here. I'll go ahead and close out here. So what I want to do here is I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. So very high level overview for those today in the audience. So if you are interested in setting up time for us to hop online, I can walk you through a more detailed overview of the system, answer any specific questions you have for your team setup here, but feel free to go ahead and throw those questions in the chat here now. And looks like we have one here. How are payroll corrections handled regarding certified payroll? Certified payroll is already reported for a prior week and pay needs to be added on a current week. Certified payroll reports updated. Yes, so with our system here, when a payroll correction is entered and posted inside the system, once that is posted, it's going to automatically update any other reports that information had touched. So the certified payroll reports, job costing reports, burden reports, union reports, those can all then be reran with that updated information. So once that payroll correction is posted, all of the modules inside the system are talking to each other. So once that correction is posted, all the reports, every other item inside the system will be updated reporting lines. Then us as the payroll service provider will also be able to make sure everything is updated, reported correctly when it comes to taxing information. We have another one here. What is the typical interaction with Payroll for Construction and LCP Tracker? So with Payroll for Construction and LCP Tracker, what I had shown you there for the electronic, you'll go ahead and you'll run that LCP Tracker report for that LCP Tracker specific format for that week. You pull the file out, then your team would be responsible for logging into the LCP Tracker. On the upload portion, you would see a drop down that says vendors. In vendors, you would see foundation software. You select foundation, you upload that file that had been created by our system here. The interaction really is just your team uploading that file that's been created by our team. There's no automatic passing of that information over. And also to those, if you were to move forward with our services when you go live, that implementation specialist would be available to assist to make sure that there's no issues when we're sending that information over to LCP Tracker for the first time here. Are the pay rates for prevailing wages updated automatically here? The pay rates for prevailing wage jobs are not updated automatically inside the system here. With Payroll for Construction as a client, you would have the ability for us to manage these tables. So you get a new job here, you have a list of pay rates, you could send them over to our team and we'll go ahead and get them set up inside the system for you. Or you'll have access to those tables here as well. They're not going to automatically update as we aren't working with every single union, every single prevailing wage jurisdiction out there for the rates, where your team would have to notify us that we need those rates set up inside the system. We could do so there, but there isn't going to be any automatic updating of prevailing wage rates inside the system there. And then another question here, is there a dedicated team member to help answer questions for new users? Yes, so if you were to move forward with Payroll for Construction, you get assigned a dedicated implementation specialist from our team. We like to say the setup process typically takes 4 to 5 weeks for Payroll for Construction, whereas you'll have that specific one point, your implementation specialist, that you'll meet with during the course of the implementation for the system, be able to walk you through the system, get you trained, answer any questions that may come up during that implementation process. Then they'll be with you for the first couple of live payroll runs. And once you're comfortable with the service, you get opened up to a team of 40 plus individuals that are part of our support department, only trained on our payroll system here, that are available to assist for you free of charge as a Payroll for Construction client. So one point of contact during the implementation process, then you get opened up to our full payroll, tax, and support team after you are live and comfortable with our services. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any other questions there from the audience. So again, my contact information is on the screen here. So if anyone is interested in receiving some pricing or want to set up a live one-on-one overview here, please don't hesitate to reach out, hold demonstrations over the Zoom platform. Be happy to connect with you to walk you through our service here. Or hey, you just have a couple of questions, shoot me an email, give me a call. Happy to help if anyone has anything else that I could potentially help with here today. But everyone in the audience, thank you for your time here today. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything else that we can do to help here.